Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another of our Meet the Sponsors broadcasts. My name is Joy Dunlop, and I'm thrilled to be back with you talking to representatives from some of the sponsors that make our Scots Trad Music Awards possible. Now, as you know, as I'm always telling you, the Trad Awards do not happen without really integral funding, sponsorship, support from a range of organisations. And I'm thrilled that today we have two folk, or maybe more, we shall see how the broadcast goes, representing just that. And it is lovely. Thank you so much to Decker Forrest, the programme leader of the BA Gaelic and Ceol at Solmarostig, and also Professor Josh Dixon, Head of Traditional Music at the RCS, who are with us to talk a wee bit about the work that they've been involved in and also why they feel that sponsoring a Trad Award is important for them. I guess good afternoon to both of you.
Hello.
Hello. It's always lovely to see you. And Declan, I'll come to you first, but do not worry, Josh, I'll get a good word in with you in a wee minute. It's lovely to see you again. And I know Solmarostig has a long history of sponsorship with the Trad Awards, or maybe one of the shorter ones, though, compared to Trad Award history. But for anybody who is watching this maybe for the first time and doesn't know a lot about Solmarostig and in particular your BA in Gaelic and Traditional Music, can you tell us a wee bit about that?
Absolutely. Well, and first of all, thank you for having me. Solmarostig will be celebrating its 50 years since it started next year, and during that time, the college has established itself as the Centre for Gaelic College. For Gaelic language and culture. The college has a long tradition of music. The earliest courses were actually focused on music, and that's continued right until the present day with our short courses and, of course, the full-time BA program that we have. Since the earliest days, we've had a strong musical presence with staff like Christine Primrose and Mary Sheena Heimball, Alan MacDonald, Ian MacDonald, and then we had a flush of wonderfully gifted students in the late 1990s and into the 2000s, people like Julie Fowlis and Angus Sheena and Kenneth Mackenzie, Brian O'Hara, Ailey Mackenzie, Ingrid and Ewan Henderson, and your good self, Joy, and of course, many others. But at that time, there wasn't an undergraduate program at the college that really rationalized the obvious interest that people had in both Gaelic language and music. So the program was designed and was started in 2007, and we've had wonderful, many successful graduates since that time that have gone through the program. People like Roya McLean and Ellen MacDonald, Ailey McFadgen. And we've had a lot of people that just come for maybe a year or two as well to really develop their Gaelic in particular. But it's, I think, of particular benefit to singers. And, lately, last few years, actually, we've had a number of wonderful singers. Callum McCall won the gold medal this year. Alistair Curry, Lindsay Mitchell, Katie McFarlane, Josie Duncan, that have come because maybe they weren't quite confident with their Gaelic, but it was a wonderful opportunity for them to work with Christine Primrose in particular and to develop the Gaelic skills. So that's a little bit about the program. Of course, we have the short courses as well that run each summer and focus on a number of different areas of music and language. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and it's a wonderful place to come and study Gaelic and music.
And I can definitely see that as an ex-Solmore student. I was there for 4 years and I loved every minute of it. And there is something special about Solmore. I think because you live with the people, you go out at night with the same people, and you're in classes with them as well. There is a special bond between students, and I always felt that because it was maybe a wee bit smaller than some of the other institutions as well, you got so much time with your lecturers, and that you can really see the success of past students when you just take a look at both the Gaelic world and the music one in particular. It's phenomenal to see the progress that's been made.
Yeah, I think that we're in a very unique situation up, in that it's small, it's focused. We can kind of facilitate the ethos of Gaelic traditional music quite easily in a place like this. We do things well. I mean, as you remember, Gaelic song is extremely important to Gaelic language and understanding culture and music more generally. And so, um, it helps students understand the links between language and music more generally. And, songs form the backbone of the program itself. They're used to highlight historical and cultural themes, as well as to teach the important relationship between words and rhythm. Yeah, students are able to spend a lot of time in the community as well. It's been a little bit more of a challenge more recently, of course, but we tend to go out to the Eilean pub and have sessions most weeks. Those sessions are growing and growing, I have to say. We're actually doing a concert on Saturday up in Kilmuir. That's a collaboration between Blast and Topper and Dualhish, where our students are able to actually engage with the local songs of that particular community. So yeah, there's something very special about this place, yeah, I think the students really reap the benefits of being in a Highland community when they're learning Gaelic and traditional music.
Absolutely. Cleach cin cailes chail Aine searna Sommerostig son sin. Now, I know that Solmore are sponsoring the Trad Music in the Media Award, and although now you've been sponsoring that for a good few years, compared to some of the sponsors who've been in there from the start, you're quite a new involvee. How important was it for Solmore to be supporting the Trad Awards in this way?
Well, yeah, I'm sure that we regret not being able to be in sooner, but yeah, I mean it's absolutely integral to what we do here. You know, between music and Chris Young Films and the media course that we have, we recognize the fact that it's absolutely vital to Gaelic language revitalization, as well as to just sort of cultural life in Scotland anyway, music and media. And probably more now than ever, people need music. And the ways that people connect with music are changing. And looking at the nominees that we've had over the last few years, and this year is absolutely no exception. Um, it illustrates the widening of the scope of how music and media are combined to keep that part of our culture accessible, fresh, and interesting. So yeah, we're really excited to be sponsoring it. The nominees this year are all very, very worthy, and yeah, looking forward to seeing who manages to nab it.
I know, and I think this year, in particular, after last year was so difficult, it is lovely to see that the Trad Awards are happening in person again. And we reminder to everybody out there, they will be broadcast live on BBC ALBA on Saturday, the 4th of December at 9 p.m. So do tune in to see that. I'd like to turn now for a time to Professor Josh Dixon, who's the head of the traditional music course at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Now, I'm sure much of what Decker was saying there, Josh, will have been very relevant for you as well. The RCS is known for churning out a plethora of phenomenal musicians, many of whom are nominees this year at the Trad Awards.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's been fantastic having another round of the Trad Awards this year, where so many of our students and graduates or alumni are represented, and we're able to play the part that we're privileged to play in, supporting the Trad Awards, supporting the new up and coming talent, supporting recognition of talent, and tradition bearers that have been part of our community for generations. So it's celebrating young and old, fresh and ancient, spontaneous and curated, everything in between. And we're lucky to be a part of it. So no, it's been great. We're looking forward to the night. And as a conservator, of course, we're again just feeling privileged. They're able to play a part again in such a thriving hub as Glasgow, and in such a thriving community all across Scotland, in order to keep traditional music at the forefront.
Absolutely.
We try and play our part. So no, we're very privileged.
And obviously, I mean, for the last 18 months, it has been particularly difficult for musicians as a whole, but for young musicians who've been trying to learn their and finesse their trade. So much of that part of being a musician is working with other people and having these opportunities. How are you seeing things developing from your side? Is there light at the end of the tunnel, or a wee bit still to go?
Oh, there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. It's been great actually. Last year, of course, the last year and a half has been pretty challenging, of course, for everybody. And we've tried to come up with new and innovative, or at the very least, adequate ways for giving our students opportunities to make music with each other, to broadcast that music, to share it in myriad ways. And so this year, things of course have improved quite a bit. We have a hybrid system now where some elements of our curriculum are through online means, Teams or Zoom, and then there are a much wider range of endeavors, classes, activities, rehearsals, ensembles, music making of all kinds that are actually in person. So we're able to provide a hybrid environment, I suppose, and we only see that improving over time. And to be honest, a lot of students have come to appreciate that the hybridity in a sense. They like being able to attend a lecture at 9 a.m. but just rolling out of bed, and they get there and they're fine, and attendance at 9 a.m. is great, but then they can go on to the more hands-on, practical music making and other things taking place later in the day, actually in person in the building. So they appreciate the flexibility that offers, and we see really nice outcomes.
That is the dream.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting here with my slippers on, so I feel like I can't judge anybody.
I know. Yeah, no. So that's been good. That's been good, and we've, of course, again, we have such a talented pool of an experienced pool of staff who really, really want the best for the students every day, and they go to great lengths to try and make the current limitations to do with occupancy within rooms, building capacity, and so on, to kind of, in a way, turn that into opportunities rather than limitations. So, for instance, when COVID hit and there was we all had to turn to online means, there was a general sort of consensus that actually this supports an opportunity to start developing everyone's skills with IT, with broadcasting, with online communication, video recording and editing, all the various things that you were maybe a bit tentative with until such time as you needed to be an absolute expert in it. So that's what did they say about the mother of necessity? That necessity is the mother of invention.
Absolutely.
That's it. Yeah. Something like that, yeah. So no, we've tried to there's a legacy for that now. There's a lot more happening in person, but there's also still a lasting emphasis on video recording, editing, sound recording, all the various things that can be behind the scenes in order to improve a person's reach and ability to share.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably
both in person and online.
One of the silver linings of lockdown is that this upskilling has happened through necessity, that folk have had to go, how am I going to cope to this and still be able to do my job?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, that's not just the conservatory, that's up and down the land. For we're all pulling together in that respect. And to be honest, actually, that does call to mind that it has led to further opportunities for collaboration, not just between students, but also between institutions. So, for instance, Solomon Rostick and the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland collaborated actually quite fruitfully on a joint online concert of Gaelic music last spring on the occasion of a residency that some of our, at that occasion, a virtual residency of some of our students at Sulmore last year. And this coming spring, that residency is hopefully going to be in person again. But we'll hope to collaborate again, and we can use the skills we've learned in order to prepare for that, and then come up with something even richer on the occasion.
Absolutely. And if I can just bring Decker in actually with that, I remember even back when I was a student that the wonder of the RCA students coming to visit when you're at Solmore for a week to do Gaelic, that was huge. That was, I mean, for us, it was a social highlight having new people coming to visit us, but actually the relationships that were fostered, that the collaborations that were there are really important for young musicians.
Yeah, that's right. And I think you said earlier on, Joy, collaboration, working with other people, pulling different skills together to come up with the best possible program or composition or whatever it is you're working on is extremely important. What better set of circumstances can there be than to have some of the best students kind of usually have a similar background but maybe slightly different areas of emphasis come together from Glasgow and Solmore to make music. It's a lot of fun, and we were really sorry that for really the first time since these music programs started, we weren't able to actually be in the same place together at the college. But as Josh was saying, we actually were pleasantly surprised at just how effective the collaboration was online. I think that's something that we've come to take away from the experiences that we've had over the past year and a half, that there are certainly aspects to working online that greatly open up the possibilities for working together and to enhance what you come out with at the other end of it. Even if it's a recording or a live performance, there are certain aspects of what we've experienced that are going to continue into the future, regardless of what the situation is with COVID and so on, because it's best practice.
Absolutely. And talking about the wonders of modern technology, I'm thrilled to see that we have another guest who has made it in. So for anybody that does not recognise Stuart Fleming, he is the Senior Manager for Scotland and Northern Ireland for PRS. Again, an organisation that has been supporting the Trad Awards for an awful long time. Lovely to see you, Stuart. I'm glad that you made it in. I cannot hear you though, so I am going to make you double check that you're unmuted.
Stuart,
I can see that's it. He's getting the specs on, so hopefully that means he'll be able to press a button and see if this works. Is that any better?
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, you're coming back. That's what we like. So PRS for Music are well represented today. Stuart, if there is anybody out there that maybe doesn't quite understand exactly what PRS does, particularly as there are lots of organisations out there with acronyms, can you tell us a wee bit about what it is you do?
Yeah, I mean, really, as simply as possible, essentially we represent the people who create the music. So that might be a songwriter or composer, or with trad music, it's very often the arrangers of traditional tracks. But in original compositions, the people who write the music as opposed to necessarily the artist. So PRS would represent the writers or creators of the music, or as I say with trad music, the arrangers. And we would collect royalties essentially from the licenses that when their music is used, say, in public performance. So whether it's being, streamed on a streaming service or used on a broadcast or performed live, then royalties come through for the songwriter, composer, or traditional arranger there. Mm-hmm. That's very simple version.
I'm loving that. Simple yet effective. And it is a reminder out there for everyone. It's not that it's any extra work for you, it's gaining extra pennies for the work that you've already done.
Yeah, I mean, I think, just going by what everybody else is saying. I mean, one of the things that we've been quite hopefully efficient at doing over the last 18 months is keeping the royalty distributions up. Now, don't do me wrong. I don't want to sound complacent, because we do know things have been really difficult and things are going to take a hit over the next wee while, because also a lot of public performance hasn't taken place in music. But because royalties take a bit of time to come in, we've actually been processing royalties, so in the UK domestically, maybe 3-4 months after the performance, but with international that can be anything up to sort of 15-18 months after performance. So royalty payments have actually stayed relatively high for a lot of our writer members, which is, it's I guess it's scant reward and very little help if you're sort of struggling and you're not managing to get out there gigging just now. But it has been some sort of solace for some writers that the royalties are still coming in for previous work that they've done.
Absolutely. And we all love the PRS fairy that comes and gives you pennies out of nowhere, it feels like, in your bank account.
No, it's not. It's your work. Your work's performed somewhere. So somebody, whether it be yourself or another artist, is performing your work. So it's yours. You've earned that income. It's the exploitation of the intellectual property, if you like. So it is yours by right. So it's not like any sort of magical wand. It's your income in the same way that a plumber or joiner or your mechanic would get paid for their work.
Mm-hmm. And PRS are again sponsoring the original work of the year category at the Trad Awards, and once again, the talent is just phenomenal, and it's so inspiring to see, despite the fact we've had a terrible 18 months or so, that people are still producing such amazing music.
Yeah, I mean, see, to be honest, Joy, that's one of the great indicators that maybe there's some light at the end of this really long dark tunnel. We've actually had more people join in the last year or the last year and a half than we have had at any other period. So given that there's no live performance, they must be joining for some reason. So it suggests to us that a lot of people are using this time to create new music. And I think you just listen to your previous speakers as well, just chatting about what they were saying. I think technology has actually benefited a lot of people. People are collaborating with people that they might never have had an opportunity to write with before. So yeah, they're still co-writing with the same co-writers they would have in the past, but they're also collaborating internationally. And I think it's like they were saying that this is the way forward in a lot of ways, that it's best practice, that even after hopefully we get out of this situation with COVID and things do go back to some sort of normal live performance, people will continue technology to create and write music. People are being a lot more time efficient, I think, with their music creation, and we're seeing a huge upsurge in new writers joining, which seems crazy at a time when there's no public, or there's been very little public performance.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Josh, if I can come back to you from the conservatoire, are you finding that as well, that the sort of, I guess, odd bonus of everybody being stuck at home is it is giving students the time to be a wee bit more creative or explorative, looking at, investigating different avenues that maybe they wouldn't have time to do normally?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, we find a lot of students taking advantage of the current environment in order to upskill and to get involved in technology that they wouldn't have otherwise. And we're seeing positive benefits of that. PRS has done an amazing job at sort of highlighting a lot of the opportunities that some young traditional musicians simply have not kind of thought about, and they get involved in composing. We have staff involved who will be guiding them with regard to the benefits of registering with PRS. Stuart himself, I think, has come in a number of occasions in years past to speak with our students, and constantly, our students are amazed by the real gains they can see by registering and making sure that their work is recognized, through the licenses. Some students in fact, have kind of come back to our lecturers sometime much later after graduating and just remarking on just how much it's really benefited them, over that time.
Mm-hmm.
So no, the PRS for Music does great work, and I think the advent of, or the need to embrace technology in different ways has simply provided a confluence for everyone to start to benefit, both in terms of the sharing, the communication skills, their online or technological skills, and of course, as a corollary to that, the need to ensure that their work is recognized and licensed, and that they're getting the returns that they need.
Absolutely. And Decker, obviously that's the same as well if you're talking about new material or older Gaelic material or, pipe music. It's not limited to maybe modern folk music. And I think maybe sometimes that's something that people don't quite understand. So there is lots out there to be gained by just taking a wee bit of time to investigate all the different avenues.
No, I think that's absolutely the case. Yeah. And I mean, listening to what the other speakers were saying there, I mean, it made me reflect on the fact that, we still struggle with prospective students to have them understand that you can make a living out of traditional music, or music of any kind, really, but that the skills that you need, and the knowledge that you need to have with things like PRS and understanding how it all works, how different areas of a career in music come together to allow you to do that. You need to understand these things, even the finer points about, say, traditional material that musicians are using all sorts of different resources now for getting music, whether it's online archival tracks from something like Tobin Dualfish, or old collections. We're frequently seeing more and more digitized older collections of music. Scotland is particularly, I don't know that a lot of people realize this, but we're particularly well off in Scotland for our huge bank of recorded traditional music, publications that go back 250 years or so. But this all comes down to, is affected by musicians' rights and publication rights, and people need to understand, how to deal with this material.
Absolutely. And it is that professionalism that you're talking about. It's taking what you love, which is the music and the performing stuff, and making it work as a job. And I know, Josh, that at the Conservatoire, you've been doing a lot of work over the last few years and looking at your curriculum and trying to create courses and classes and supporting resources that will help students turn this passion that they have into a viable, feasible career.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we've been involved in curriculum that takes into account business skills in different levels, but also that's started to have an impact on the wider Bachelor of Music in terms of jazz, classical music. Other aspects of the School of Music have taken on some of the curriculum that we designed a number of years ago, and that's kind of wound its way across the School of Music. And joined with other pathways, so that actually there is quite a decent, clear, straightforward vocational pathway for students within the curriculum that we call professional skills. So we go from introduction to professional skills to music leadership at another level, and then to modules on the teaching musician and the freelance musician. So really getting into the nuts and bolts of contract negotiation, self-assessed taxation, and musicians union membership, copyright, intellectual property, the role of PRS, and arts-based or state-funded arts applications, and so on. So the whole range and ecology of the profession behind the scenes, that is not strictly speaking performance itself, but actually creating one's own opportunities and becoming more entrepreneurial. All that it's much more in the foreground now across the School of Music and the Conservatoire. And it's been really nice from my point of view. It's been nice to see traditional music being at the forefront of that, and helping to broaden that out amongst other areas of the conservatoire.
Absolutely, and huge steps been taken, and it's really inspiring to see that. Now, unfortunately, I'm keeping an eye on the time, and we are running out of it. We could talk about this all day. Irish bevalim sa thank a horskin thrurak. I would love to thank the three of you for coming in to talk to us, and your organisations for sponsoring the Trad Awards. As we can't say enough, events like this wouldn't be possible without sponsorships from our very, very generous sponsors. And thank you. I know you're all very busy, so thank you for taking the time. We reminder that if you are interested, just check out the www.scotstradmusicawards.com. You can read not only there about the sponsors, but also all our nominees. And we are going to be meeting in person, although on a smaller scale, on Saturday, the 4th of December in Glasgow, which we're all thrilled about. If you can't manage along, though, you can watch it on BBC ALBA. That will be live from 9 p.m. But thank you once more to our guests, Stuart Fleming, Decker Forrest, and Joshua Dixon, for being with us. As always, thank you to Simon, who's keeping an eye on things behind the scenes. Agus be mis Ashner Kujach. I'm sure I will be back for at least one more chat with our sponsors. I'm sure we can squeeze that in before the Trad Awards. But thank you very much to everybody that was watching, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Cheerio and